to the Translucent Podcast once again.
And my lane is the positive music. You know, a lot of...
Network.
Welcome everybody. Welcome for joining in. And today we got a really special guest, a great guest. We got Dr. Mr. L. Ron Porter here with us today.
That man say doctor.
Doctor, you know, I respect education, and just because the paper don't come from one specific institution don't mean that you ain't teaching the healing. You know.
Now we in reality, where we all postdoctorate studies. You know what I'm saying? We made it through Richmond and all of the different kind of situations that they was throwing at us, you know, as being children. So we all postdoctorate studies, and whatever it is, you know, that we got an education in, we postdoctorate.
Right, facts.
I believe.
So to start off, man, won't you tell the people about your history? You got a really good history, like in and out of music, and everything. You come from a really good background family, like as far as you got cousins that's in music and another cousin that's about putting this real shit out there, and it's like a really good thing. So first of all, I want to know, can we start off with the music? Because I know Society's creation. That's how I first just knew, and at the time I didn't even know it was you. You know what I'm saying? I remember the stickers and everything. I remember the music. I just didn't put the two and two together. So when you told me, you know, I felt good because it's somebody, because y'all was really talking about something. So can we start there? Go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
Nah, it's all good. My name is Ronald Porter. You know, also at that time when we started rapping, I was calling myself Ronnie Ron, and I'm one of the founders of Society's creation. You know, we was at El Cerrito High School, and I wasn't really letting anybody know, you know, that I was rapping. You know, actually, I started off as just a writer. You know what I'm saying? I wrote poetry, short stories and stuff like that. Even when we was at El Cerrito, I used to write, and some of my teachers and stuff would put my writing, you know, in the main hallway and stuff, because I was writing more so than anything else. And then what it was is, I think probably like, I don't know, man, I might have been about 12 years old or something like that. And, you know, I tried to start writing raps and stuff like that. You know, I was raised on 2nd Street in between Nevin and Bear in Central Richmond. My grandmother raised like 4 generations of our family there, you know. And at that time, you know, that was during the time when the game was really popping. So you see cats riding through in box Chevys and stuff. And what I remember like standing out is the Vapors. You know what I'm saying? I remember people riding by, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I remember. And that, you know, it started to draw it to me. And then I got older cousins that were staying in the house with me, and they used to go to 4th Street Market. Used to sell bootleg cassettes.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
You know, like in one of the cassettes I remember, like my cousin, his name is Charles. They used to call him the Bear. He was like a major factor in Richmond Pony baseball. He would go to 4th Street and buy all these tapes, and Big Daddy Kane.
Yep.
I remember just laying on the floor listening to Big Daddy Kane, and, you know, trying to write raps. And my grandmother was very religious, so she used to call all music that wasn't gospel the blues. So it was like it was devil music, you know what I'm saying? So I'm sitting there with that shit turned down low, you know, trying to write me a rap. And, you know, also I had an older cousin from the South Side over there in the 40s, from South 47th Street, his name is Lawrence James. We called him Low. And Low was already rapping. Like, he's 4 years older than me. And I mean, he was like my big brother, so I always looked up to him and what he was doing. Yeah. And, you know, I wanted to be like him. So as I started crafting it more and more, and I was quiet at El Cerrito because, you know, a lot of dudes was rapping at that time. It was, really, you know, really rapping, you know. I mean, you know, Griff, like Steve Mason and them have been rapping doing the rallies and all that stuff from like the 9th and the 10th grade. So I wasn't really trying to bring it out like that. And me and Steve, I think we might have had like an English class or something like that. I knew him because he used to cut my hair. You know, he used to cut hair at Middle Earth, like when we was like in the 9th or 10th grade. So I knew him, but we was in the class one day, and I don't know how we started talking about rapping. And, you know, that was it. We started trying to come up with names, you know, for the group and stuff like that. And it was a dude named Dante. I don't know if y'all remember Dante. He used to be a DJ, called himself DJ Swing. No. And he was the first person to, you know, hook us up with music and stuff. He'd be playing instrumentals from Mine Playing Tricks on Me and Compton's Most Wanted and shit like that. We go up in his closet. His mama, you know, thanks to his moms, because she used to let us go up in there and we'd be rapping like hell, and she let us record. And, you know, that was how Society's creation began.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Do you remember Jonell, Ace Money?
I remember the name, and I think I remember the face. Like, I think he was a little bit younger than me, right? Maybe like he was like a grade or two behind me.
I think he was maybe a year before me, maybe a year or two. He used to, him and Famous and a couple other people used to be rapping back then.
I remember Famous, because Famous used to hang around with a dude named Cardell.
Yep.
And see, I got one of the dudes that was like really close to me because we was playing basketball, and I don't know if y'all remember, but Jemiah Johnson.
I remember.
So Jemiah Johnson, they used to be rapping. They used to be calling themselves New Skin and all this kind of Tribe Called Quest type of stuff. And so yeah, no, I remember that. But at that time, like I say, I was trying to. They was really jumping off into it. I was trying to keep mine on the under, till I could get it right.
That's why Rave asked me, like, we did an interview with Rave, and he was like, did anybody at El Cerrito rap? And I was like, no, not at that time. I didn't know anybody. You know, K Cloud and them.
Yeah.
Y'all came out the blue. Like, that was after we was already we was at the same studio. I didn't know you was at Dre's too. Dre sung on that They Can't Hurt Me No More.
Yeah.
And I knew Drew the one that started me rapping. He was like, man, you should write something. I was like, well, I could try to write, but yeah, I didn't know all y'all was rapping. And Steve, I didn't know his big brother rap. Did his big brother rap?
His brother, what we was doing was, see, before we met Studio Dre, right? We me and Steve first recorded our first song at Fef Studio. Rising Power with the Fef, August McCoy. He was the first person that we recorded with, and then we kind of went on like a search, you know, for where we was gonna record and stuff. We went to K-Lou's, but when we went to K-Lou's, we didn't get the real deal K-Lou. We got his little brother. I remember they used to call him Squirt. And we went there. We was recording with Squirt, but you know, it wasn't feeling like like what it's supposed to feel like.
Yeah.
So we went through a couple of other studios. We went to, I don't remember, it was some Caucasian dudes out in Fairfield. We was just calling the dude the Cowboy. I don't remember who he was and nothing like that. I don't remember the name of the studio. And then there was another studio with this dude named Bobby Ford. It was in Fairfield. And I can't remember the name of it because right after we graduated, I was riding a bus because my mother and father bought a house in North Vallejo, right across from the Crest, where the Crest Park is in North Vallejo. It's a neighborhood where that park is. Well, my mother and father bought a house there in 1980. So I lived in Vallejo for like half of the time when I was growing up. And so, yeah, when I was there, I'm riding a bus one day, and it's a Richmond legend named Chili Powder.
Chili Powder. Shout out to Chili.
Chili was on the bus, and I was on the bus, and we started talking. He had just got out the real Untouchables with Master P, and he was like, "Man, you want to be on my album?" You know, after we started talking and stuff, and I was like, you know, shit, we gonna be on the album? And I came back and I told Steve and Drew, they're like, man, this boy want us to be on the album. He said he was with Master P. I didn't know who Chili was at that time. we actually are on the first Chili Powder album. It's called Late Night Gaffling. We got a song on there called What's Up With That Dank and That Drink.
Okay.
I never knew that.
That's history.
Yeah.
That's history.
So like I say, that's what it was. And he introduced us to the dude in Fairfield named Bobby Ford, and E40 actually was recording there because he walked in the studio one day when we was in there. And at that time, me and Steve, we was living in Vallejo, and E40 came in there, and he was like, "What part of Vallejo y'all from?" And I think, if it was a different situation, he probably would have flexed on us. But we like, nah, we ain't from Vallejo, we from Richmond, and everything kind of just, kind of eased down a little bit after that. And then, it's a dude who was at El Cerrito. I don't know if you remember him, Griff. His name was Henry Warren. He ran track and he played football. He is Tranika and Troy Warren's older cousin.
Okay. I know Troy.
Okay. So it's his older cousin. And I think if I'm not wrong, him and Dre was like in a group together where they were friends. Because Dre rap too, right?
I know he did a long time ago.
Yeah.
He was Harambe. He was seeing some footage. Yeah.
Huh?
Which Dre used to rap?
Studio Dre. Portman Productions. He had like a song, if I'm not wrong, it's called Batteries or something. It's an old school, like some classic hip hop type of stuff. But him and Hen was in a group together, or they rapped together or something. So Hen plugged us with Dre. And we go back to Portman Studios when he was recording in his mom's house in Hercules.
Oh shit! Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's what it was.
We wasn't in the same studio then, because I wasn't into Dre's until either that Rum Reel or McDonald. So no, I was recording before. I was recording there then.
So we was at Hercules first, and then he moved to Rum Reel. So we went with him, when he was moving around. And what it was Steve Brother T, him and Dan, like we had really big dreams of how we were gonna do Society's Creation. Like Mac and My Family was supposed to turn into something like No Limit or something.
Yeah.
That was our goal. So what they really did is he wasn't necessarily a rapper. They contributed to our music.
Gotcha.
Like they would sit down with Dre. Like Dre is a dope producer, but they added something to what he was doing. So like we would find music. A lot of Society's Creations music was like modern jazz, like the jazz you hear on KBLX or K-Jazz or something. We might be riding, smoking or something, and hear something and be like, oh shit, that shit dope. Yeah. We go take that shit to Dre, and T and Dan would sit there with him, and see Dan come from a musical family. So he's his grandmother and his grandfather, they was the pastor and the first mother of a church. I think it's in Berkeley, Mount Herndon or something like that. But all his cousins can sing. I mean, Dee Dee is his sister. Dee Dee sing like hell.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like his whole family was very like musical. And I mean, I'm not a musical person like that. And I was glad that they came into it because they helped fix a lot of the music. Like whatever, when we would go to Dre, we'd already have a good layout of how we wanted it to do it because of Dan and T. So that's what they were. They were actually producers.
That didn't stop you from singing though. You were singing on there.
Hey, that's I grew up in a church situation. My grandmother them used to be singing. So I felt like shit. I'm just letting it come out.
It's all count, man.
Yeah.
Victim that does never go for me. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. These youngsters running the streets. Yeah, that was a nice album. I bought two of those tapes.
Appreciate that though. Yeah, for real. It was just at that time the music was pure. We wasn't thinking about no money or nothing like that. We was just we were seeing a lot of the stuff that was going on in the society. And the thing is like we as a group, we never got sucked into a lot of the poisons and shit that was going on in Richmond to where nobody was in the game, nobody was associated specifically with a neighborhood or nothing like that. So we didn't have to put out that kind of music. We were putting out what was really, who we were. So I think that's what made a lot of it, come out the way that it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it came out real good. Like I said,
I
Appreciate you.
that was
Appreciate
my take, man.
And I don't think it's too late for a video for that. They can't hurt me no more because I'm not even laughing. I'm so serious about that. That song right now would go to the top of the charts. I ain't gonna lie.
I appreciate y'all, man.
Right,
Appreciate you.
That's time.
And when you come out here, let us know. How many of them you still in contact? I think Steve is in Washington though, huh?
Nah, what happened is we started kind of making some steps with Society's creation. We hooked up with some dudes in Oakland, and we hooked up with a dude named Paul Washington, B. Paul. And he was a real good dude. And at that time, he was really into entrepreneurship. You know what I'm saying? And that was something that we held on real strong too, because we didn't want to get no record deal and shit like that. And at that time in the Bay, we dropped Hell on Earth in '96. So it was independence. We're getting bread in the Bay. So we were like, shit, we're gonna keep it independent. And when we hooked up with Paul, he had a plug with Chris Hicks that was putting out the look, right? So we was in East Oakland. We had a couple of situations like that. The thing with Chris Hicks is that, he was from the streets. So he didn't understand business. So the only thing he could focus on was, nigga, 500 is the shit. Like 500 is fucking with Michael Jackson, nigga, I'm winning. He just caught up in a moment, so he couldn't see what am I gonna do after this. After it. He couldn't see the accumulation of putting something together. So we sat there with him. We was talking. He was like, "Look, man, I can get y'all a deal. We gonna go 80-20 split, right?" So we was like, "We get 20," and he's like, "Nah, y'all get 80. I'll take 20." But the thing was, like I said, the business, you know how it go. The business, he just didn't know how to work that business in that, in that way. And like I say, I mean, he seemed like a good dude. I don't know him or nothing like that. But at that time, the business was different. And then we had I met a lady. Her name was Von Deschatel. She hooked me up with Al Eaton from One Little Indian Studios. Yeah. And they had like some kind of a hidden figure or something. Some dude was in New York, like some kind of record company dude. And we went to Al Eaton's studio, and we sat down with him and Vaughn, and they called the record company dude. And it's just, at this time, it's just me and Steve there. And we were supposed to all be there because it's 7 of us, 5 rappers, the 2 producers, and then Dan got a cousin that live in Washington. He's from Oakland, named Tennille, and he raps on the Society's creation. His name on there is Gage Lowe, and he's on a good amount of the songs. So, but it's only me and Steve there, and so we don't really look good. No, 2 of us there, and
representing 5 and 2 producers. Like where the squad at?
Yeah. So that's kind of how how that happened. And so after that, when we broke it off, then Steve went to Washington to mess with some music with Tennille and our homeboy Spade, and they started they had a group out there because again, Mac and My Family was supposed to be like an umbrella. Yeah. So they were supposed to come under us, and their group was called the Salve. And so Steve went out there and he jumped into the Salve, and they started recording. But for all I know, I think he's back in the Bay Area somewhere. I haven't talked to him in a long time. I keep in contact with Dre Nelms. We talk probably like at least once a week or something like that. And we're gonna working on bringing back some Society's creation music. I communicate with Danny. Steve Brother T, like man, he had 2 major strokes. He lives in Ohio, and I keep in contact with him, try to help him keep his spirits up and everything like that. Because at that stage of our lives, man, I mean, we was like real deal, like family, like we was like brothers. Yeah. And as the time go on, things change in life when you're not together like we were at that time. But I mean, I got nothing but love, for them. I think Drew is like a sheriff in Alameda County or something like that. and then Rob. I think Rob live in Hilltop. So you know, I try to keep in contact with him, but you know how time go.
Yeah.
Separated by time and space.
10 years ago past so fast, you'd be like, wow.
Yeah,
no doubt.
These weeks is flying by, man. These weeks,
no doubt.
It's already June. This year is all half over.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Yeah. So, you know what else I want to get into? I want to know, as far as your Moorish studies, what made you go into Moorish studies and things like that?
All right. At the same time, when Society's Creation broke up, during the time when we had Society's Creation, Steve was bringing D. Ross around us.
Okay.
And D. Ross was at El Cerrito when we was there. I knew him, but I never I can't say I had a conversation with him when we was there. We're cool. We're in the same kind of circles, but I don't know if I've ever had a conversation with him. When we was at El Cerrito, he was rapping with Kwanzaa Grags.
Yeah.
And like when we would be in the studio, Steve would bring Ross there. And it was like I don't know, we somehow we connected. Like he'll tell me now, he'd be like, y'all group music was dope, but I was coming here to see where your pain was coming from. He was like, I could hear your pain in the music. So I was trying to see what that was about. And when we was making Society's Creation, you know, I had just lost my moms, and there was a lot of shit going on. One of my cousins had got killed maybe 2 months before my mother. And I used to be up in there perking, man. I'm drinking a bottle of Rossi, and I go in the booth and spit my verse and come sit on the couch at Dre's studio on Run Reel and fall out. They putting cans on my head and tappers in my mouth and all kind of shit. And I don't know, we had some kind of bond that connected. So when Society's Creation broke up, I put out it's almost like a gospel album, but it wasn't. I wasn't looking at it as being gospel. It's just like I felt like I had something I needed to say. Yeah. And Ross that was who went to the studio with me. We recorded that album, kind of together. And so, me and Ross, we lived together. Me, him, and his daughter's mother, we lived together in Vallejo, after that time. So he's like my brother, you know what I'm saying? And we always have kept in contact with each other. Even with me being out here, we always talked. So maybe about 5-6 years ago, maybe longer, he kept telling me, man, you're a Moor. And I'm going head up with him. No, nigga, Africa. Nigga, what about Egypt, nigga? And the thing is, he was hella patient with me, right? Because every time, and like I say, we talked for hours on the phone, you know what I'm saying? And he's still trying to give me this game. But, the indoctrination of what we've been taught, I was having a hard time overcoming it. And then, one day, it just kind of the light came on. And it was like, whoa, okay, yeah. I understand what he's been saying to me. So I started to process the information. There was a couple of groups that was started at that time. There was a school, online school. We used to do Zoom meetings and stuff, and it was so much information. These people from all over the country in there and trying to study law, study history, and getting an understanding. And it started to be a bond of the people, you know what I'm saying, where the people started coming together and bringing their ideas together. And I don't know, it just started turning into something. And it just seemed like at the same time, it's like the universe was working. You know what I'm saying? It was like I'm getting more science. At the same time, it started pushing me into doing Ancestry.com. So I started tracing my roots. And then I remember being young, and my grandmother used to always tell us we were Indian. Mm-hmm. And she said her grandfather was an Indian. And in my mind, at that time, because of what we had been fed, I'm thinking that Indian means pale face, $5 Indian. Right. That's what I'm thinking. Right. So I'm thinking he must have looked like them, and then he met a black woman, and they had kids, and we just
met an African, and we turned into what we are now. But when I started doing the research, then I started realizing that when she was saying he was an Indian, he looked like us. And through the studies and stuff, you know, I found out like my grandmother and my grandfather are both from a small town in Arkansas called Prescott, Arkansas, Nevada County. And I thought that they were from Arkansas. But when I started researching it, you know, kind of find out they were, my great-great-grandfather was from Mississippi. And as I started tracing it, you start seeing similarities in the timelines and stuff. So you start being able to recognize that when they teach you about the Trail of Tears in school, it's a situation where, you know, they taught us it was Native Americans, but in reality, the people on the Trail of Tears was us. You know what I'm saying? And that's how my great-great-grandfather ended up coming from Mississippi to Arkansas, because they moved them all from the deep south, started moving them to Oklahoma. But I mean, you got to think Oklahoma and Arkansas is right next to each other, and the lines that we see as being the divisions between states, they didn't look like that at that time. If you go look at something with the like Louisiana Purchase or something, there's no lines here. So, like I said, this all started coming together. I felt like my ancestors was talking to me. You know, I don't know. It just all started coming together and making sense. And when you start seeing it clearly, it eliminates confusion.
Right.
You know, it allows you to be able to make sense of situations, and you also realize who and what you're dealing with. So you realize once you realize who and what you're dealing with, you know that you can't expect for them to tell you the truth. Why would they want to tell you the truth? I mean, they're winning and we losing because of racism, basically, that they came here and stole our land and moved us around. The same thing that's going on now with gentrification. You come and you take people's stuff and you move them around. You got to think it's real hard to maintain records and stuff accurately when you're moving around and you're constantly under attack. So, you know, that's what it is. But that hopefully that gave you an answer. But, you know, that's what really brought me to more science. It was D. Ross, you know, and I'm forever appreciative of him for that.
Yeah, that definitely gave me a good answer. And the first part for me, because, you know, I'm into the periodic table. I'm into science, and I love the swamp, that as they call it. Some people call it the swamp. Some people call it, you know, different things. And so the first part of separating from the way I was raised, the whole, the whole 7-day story, the rib thing, the woman giving birth to man, the Holy Trinity doesn't include the woman, you know, just stuff that was embedded, you know, like for years on top of years. So once there's one guy, his name is Big Rob, and Robert Jones, and he always tried to tell me, I mean, a long time ago, he was like, Rave, you need to get out of that. But I was just fighting. I'm like, bro, see, what you don't understand is, bro, see, if the earth was any closer, we would probably burn to death. So it has to be some guy who really made sure that we was just right here, you know. Like, Rave, nah, man. And like I said, it was hard. A few years after that, I'm looking at my mom and what she was going through. And once my mom passed, I really felt like I could start getting the answers I needed, because she would always tell me, Raven, that's God's business. You can't ask me that. You don't question God. God's business, you know, the whole bit. So I felt like I didn't have to report to my mama no more. And now I can really, you know, start receiving other things. And once I start jumping into other things, like the whole world just opened up. And, you know, I started looking at the whole slave story, and like, man, it had to be some of us here already. Like, it's real. Like, we all didn't come from this one place.
It's no doubt about it. And see, for me, like, and I just want to piggyback off what you're saying. You know, like I told you earlier, I was raised in a Christian household.
Me too.
My mother and my grandmother, they attended your cousin's church, like you know, Vincent Manyweather's church.
Yeah, Vincent Manyweather, nice church.
It was Reverend Alec Bernstein, and his wife was Mother Millie Bernstein. My grandmother had been there with them, you know, back in the day, and also my grandfather was a Baptist minister, you know, Reverend John Malone, and he was at Providence Baptist Church and all of these churches in Richmond, you know, that you hear about. He was all through them preaching and stuff, and my you know, because if we all go back and we look, our grandparents, when they came from the South, they came and they established the city. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like the city was there, right? Yeah. But like Rockefeller, Richmond is a Rockefeller city. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Part of like where we are right now in our lives and the reason why we are the way we are, the things that we went through, is a construct. They got pictures. It's a dude. They got a Richmond group. I think his name is Chris McFall or something on Facebook. He shows a lot of like classic Richmond pictures, right? And in that, one of those pictures shows Rockefeller in Richmond in like the early 1900s. And you got to think most of our grandparents came here in the 40s because of World War II for work and stuff. But the war is orchestrated. It's not a real war. You know, old Bush daddy, Prescott Bush, he funded both sides of the war. So he was giving Hitler their money to fund what they was doing and giving the United States and England their money to fund what they was doing. So it becomes a situation where you start understanding that it's not just a war for whatever the history teaches you the war is. It's just some underlying things behind it. And one of the underlying things behind that was to go ahead and get these people off their land. You know what I'm saying? That's what I think it's the Bloody Summer of 1920 or 21, something like that. All of the Black Wall Street and Rosewood, and they got all of these different segments of the country where these white mobs are attacking indigenous people. And what they're doing is they're creating fear. You know what I'm saying? So the people, they need to try to escape the fear. So a lot of those people early on before that, during the 20s and stuff, they're leaving their land. So the Caucasians come after they've attacked them, and they go to the county and say, hey, these people have abandoned this land. I want to claim it. You know what I'm saying? So one of the main things, and if you look at your family, you will see it, one of the main focuses that they needed to do was to break down the family. So getting those people to move out of their home areas, you know, if you study like geography and stuff, and you study the Great Migration, since I've been in the South, I can see everything moves in a straight line. So the people from Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, those people are the people that usually populate like DC and New York and all of those areas. The people that come from Alabama and Mississippi, those are Midwest people. Those are Chicago's, your Detroit, Flint, Michigan, St. Louis, those areas. They just moved in a straight line. And then all the people that you see on the West Coast, those are your Louisiana, your Texas, your Oklahoma, your Arkansas people. Could just move in a straight line this way. Yeah. But what they did is when they came here, they established the churches and all that stuff, you know, on their own. And for me, I was going to church. Something about it never really clicked, you know, to me. My dad died when I was 6 years old in an industrial accident. And when my dad died, my mother went back to church real strong. My mother was raised in greater faith. But when my dad died, when she got married to my dad, you know, she didn't go to church like that no more. But she went back to church, and I always had like a real strong relationship with my grandmother. She really helped to raise us after my pops died. And my grandmother always had a kind of different belief. Like she's going to church and stuff, but my grandmother was always she had some kind of other interest. You know what I'm saying? She was interested in hoodoo and psychics and all of this kind of stuff. So you like even when you growing up in the church, you can see that there's something else going on because you would hear, you know, you hear the old people talking about voodoo and all this kind of stuff. So that's something that's there for us. It's just that part of that colonization thing was to hit so hard with Christianity that they kind of lost that connection, you know, with what was going on. And also my mother was like a real, like a spiritual person, like a seer. So she was talking about the times that we have right now back in the 80s. She was telling me about people not having food and the government lying and all that kind of stuff. So even though it's coming from a Christian perspective, I already understood like kind of like what was going to happen. So when I started coming across knowledge, it just kind of like amplified what my grandmother, like the voodoo, hoodoo shit, and then what my mother was talking about with the way that the world was going. It just kind of all came together.
You know, let me ask you a question. So when I hear you say that, when I hear you say that, it's kind of like what I hear is like, because it's true in the South, you know, the voodoo and all this kind of, and it seemed like it kind of got a black eye from the government and mainstream, I guess, mainstream, what would the word be? Would it be mainstream religion or something like that? Like it ended up getting a black eye and it became a bad thing, quote unquote.
Right.
Okay. Because that's what I believe too. Because a lot when I talk to a lot of people from the South and stuff like that, you know, it's voodoo and it's like it kind of got a black eye.
I'm gonna give you two words to give you the reason why I got a black eye.
Okay.
Haitian Revolution.
Say that again.
Haitian Revolution.
Haitian Revolution. Okay.
The Haitians, they were practicing voodoo.
Okay.
And the Haitians are the only nation to win against the colonizers.
Okay.
It's because they were in tune with their spirituality.
Okay.
They made a decision like the real name of Haiti is Haiti. And Haiti was a place that where free people were supposed to live. And even the native people of Haiti are the Taino and the Arawak, as they call them, Indians. So, but it was that when the slavery and stuff came there, their main focus was to be a free nation. And it was free to where anybody in the world who wanted to be free could come there and be part of the nation.
So look,
if you were melanated.
Let me stop right here for a second. All right, so look.
Yeah.
Do you watch the Twilight Zone?
You know what's crazy as hell about that? Is when I was young, it's two shows. You asked me about the Twilight Zone, but I gotta tie another show into that.
Okay.
It's the Twilight Zone, and it's what's the name of that show with Scully and Mulder? Yeah, X-Files and Twilight Zone is kind of tied in together. When I was young, you know, I thought it was lame. I'm not gonna watch that shit. But as I got older and I started kind of seeing how things come together, yeah, I watched that shit. Yeah.
Well, I can't remember if maybe it was the X-Files, but one of them had an episode, and it was a place where the free people could come, but the guy was kind of hesitant. He wasn't understanding it, and he didn't kind of get it. And so it was he thought it was a trap or something. Like he really didn't get it. I can't remember if it was X-Files or Twilight Zone, but one of them had an episode like that, speaking on what you're talking about. Like they showed it, and it kind of stuck with me. So when I hear you say that, it's like, man, I've seen that before, and it's tucked. It's somewhere the typical black person wouldn't watch.
Exactly.
You know,
they got an X-Files. I don't know what episode it is, but there's an episode of the X-Files where this Caucasian dude is in the military. He gets sent to Haiti. He starts studying voodoo. And he becomes like he's using the power that's ours against us. So I think that's one thing that everybody has to understand. You know, if you're a melanated person and you're on the planet, you always got to remember that when they're digging and excavating, when they're doing anthropology and all of this stuff, when they're doing research and all this kind of stuff, what they're doing is they're uncovering mysteries. And they're researching this. They're putting stuff into taking our stuff and putting it to use for their benefit on us. It's a warfare strategy, it's spiritual warfare. So that's what happened. That's all, like any kind of religion that they give you. It's the Caucasian doesn't necessarily have the mental or the spiritual ability to process what our ancient ways of living were. So that's what religion is. The religion is his interpretation of our spiritual systems.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're practicing their religion, we're lowering ourselves. We're lowering ourselves to his perception. When our perception is unlimited, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're unlimited in your understanding and your perception, and then you go and put a limit on it, that makes you like you're weak. It's like kryptonite. You know, you were Superman, and now they gave you a piece of kryptonite and had you walking around with it in your pocket. They told you it was cool to have a kryptonite in your pocket. So you walking with the kryptonite in your pocket like, yeah, nigga, I'm cool as hell. But in reality, you a Superman, and now you just weak as shit.
Yeah.
Got a sweet tooth for kryptonite. Man.
Right, though, man, it's crazy. It's a process, man. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Go, man.
Yeah.
I'm glad I asked you that because that's
I mean, we only got like I don't know how long before they cut us off, but I did want to ask about the L. What does L mean?
Those are the titles of our ancient ancestors. Like you can look at Elohim. You know what I'm saying? The EL is the Elohim, and you'll see people with Bay on their last name. So it's all got to do with the law. You know, the people that keep the law, the people that make the law. And what I really want to press out to our people is we're seeing life through a European lens, right? They've got us to see life through their eyes. The issue is, and we could go back 2 generations. If we go back to when we were growing up in Richmond, before crack came, right? Go back before crack. There was rules and regulations to our lives. You know what I'm saying? Like when I go talk to my older cousins and shit, like I said, we was all raised in my grandmother's house. So my older cousins is like in their 50s and their 60s and shit like that. Their early life in Richmond is totally different than my life in Richmond. If they start talking about 2nd Street when they was young, we used to go to the store, and we'd go around the corner and play with so-and-so, and we used to go to Petrie Mart and Cartwright's, and we'd get candy and all this kind of stuff. But when I was like 11 or 12, I'm just sitting out there watching dope fiends smoke crack and shit, and I'm trying not to let niggas rob me, and you know what I'm saying? Like just that crack changed it. But I say that to say that there was rules to the way that we live our lives. So your neighbors are looking out for you, and you know you could borrow sugar and flour, and everybody's there working together. But when you start like having life set up through their lens, it changes it. So what it did is it weakened us. So with me being an L, and this is like everything with this shit is humility. Like what Noble Drew Ali was teaching people was we trying to save fallen humanity. We trying to uplift the humanity. So it's about humility. It's being humble and trying to go ahead and spread love and be a good person to get it back to the way that we were. But we've got to remember that because we come, our lineage is what it is, we have the ability, we know what law is. We know what universal law is. That's why you see a lot of OGs and stuff that came up in the streets and shit now. The game got them. The game was evil. You know what I'm saying? It's my nephew's dad. My sister had a baby with this guy. His name is Magoo. And one day Magoo came to me and he was like, Ron, he's like, man, the dope game got a curse on it. And I was like, what you mean? He was like, you got a curse on it. You can't just sit there and sell dope to people's mamas and know they don't got money to feed their kids and shit and be good, right? But it's spiritual. You know, and I felt this when I was young. Like the dope game was an evil spirit that came into our community, and it changed the makeup of the people. I mean, it's niggas I knew. I used to play football for the San Pablo Renegades. I played football with a whole bunch of niggas that got turned out to the streets. And when you start getting to middle school and shit like that, as far as like the age that me and Don are, it might have been a little bit earlier for you, Raven. But it's like when they start getting turned out, they change. That might have been your partner, like your real deal partner 2 years ago. But he might see you and might not speak.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because of the spiritual aspect.
Pull a gun on you or where you from now. Like, nigga, we was brothers.
Yeah.
I know it. I know it.
Yeah. So it's a spiritual thing that's the main thing. I want people to understand, like, we have to overcome everything that came from that. Most of the issues and stuff we had, that's why you always see me posting family first, we all we got, because I'm trying to get people to understand that we've got to go back to being family the way it was before the crack came, and then everything that came after it. When people started getting money and feeling like they were better than other people or their family, or these people stupid, they ain't as smart as me because I went to college and I live in Walnut Creek now, so I'm better. Like, all of that shit got to go. We got to get back to the way that we was, and we are the people to make the laws. Like, we have to be the leaders. Like, you guys doing what y'all doing right now, that's leadership. You know what I'm saying? Because we've got to take control of it. Like, I'm not trying to talk about nothing negative that nobody's doing, but that marching and the protesting, that's not going to change it. The thing that's going to change our situation is for us to come together, start building businesses, start rebuilding our families, and unifying, because the police can't kill us. If 20 of us are out there and the police start attacking somebody, we don't even got to go attack them. Just put our arms together and walk towards them. That dude wasn't going to die if they would have did that, because he'd had to get up, be like, whoa, you know, what is that?
To get up.
Yeah. So it's really about unification. It ain't about them. We can't focus on what they're doing and this and that. We got to focus on what we doing and iron out all of the wrinkles and stuff in our existence.
That's good. I thought I was the only one that thought like that, because I'm sitting here like, you already see this stuff don't work. And I'm good. I saw a picture of a little baby holding a sign that he made on his own, and it was scratches and little circles in it. It didn't say anything. And I'm like, that's what they see when they look at y'all sign. That's what they see.
Real.
It don't mean nothing. So
that's real.
I'm with you on that. I gotta search. That's what I'm saying. Build from your family. It irradiate outward. Yeah. So I believe in what you're talking about. That's what I do.
Use the platform, and I see what y'all doing, and I appreciate it. Like, real deal, man. I'm honor and respect to y'all for doing what y'all doing, because, like, you know, a lot of people might not understand it, because, like, as I've gotten older, you know what I'm saying, and I worked in telecommunications for 22 years. I traveled a lot of different places, and a lot of people never will have the experience of growing up in an environment like we grew up in. So because of it, they can't recognize you coming from this kind of dysfunction and disadvantage, you know what I'm saying? And for somebody to come and attack you and do all the things that they did to us, and a lot of us was just kids, man. A lot of them dudes were 13 years old. And
didn't even know we was victims. Didn't even know we was victims. Just that's the way it is.
And that's what it is. So it's about bringing that together, and for all of us that's in our late 30s and our early 40s and 50s and all of that to come together and to accept the responsibility of being elders, you know, and we can make a change. Yeah. We have to eliminate the ego, get rid of the pride, as far as I'm too prideful to apologize to you. I feel like I'm too dope to listen to you or something like that, and to accept people for their differences. Like you was talking about my family and music. I know you was talking about my little cousin Carl Hardiman, and he got a different ideology than I do, but that's my cousin. Like my grandfather and his great grandmother is brothers and sisters. So we're not gonna have no problem about that, because when I think about it, you know what I'm gonna think about? His great grandmother used to have me at that house where she used to make spaghetti and salad. And you know what I'm saying? Like, how she gonna look at me? You know what I'm saying? How are they looking at me if I'm mad at him? Because he might be talking about Africa, and I'm saying I'm a Moor. They don't care nothing about that. She gonna look at her like, boy, you better go on ahead and fix that situation. So that's how I live my life.
Yeah.
Right.
Makes sense.
That's good, man. Family first.
Exactly.
It all go with what you're pushing and you walking the talk. Family first, man.
We need another hour, cause for real. So yeah.
Nah, man, I appreciate y'all for real, in real life. Honor and respect to both of y'all.
For sure, man.
Keep doing what y'all doing, man. Let's encourage each other and encourage other people, you know, because if we can all build it together and unify it, like if y'all got dark and y'all got 20/20 vision, just how y'all bridging it together, you know, like we got some stuff that we working on outside of the music. Be on the lookout. We trying to put some stuff together. I'm not gonna speak too much on it right now because I don't want nothing to try to collapse what we doing. But it's all about unification. So just bringing that stuff together. Also for everybody that's checking this out, for y'all too. Like I say, we got a project coming out. It's me, Renaissance, and your brother Black Ice, YBBI. It's called Genius Funk. The group is Baytron. We working with our Siberian brother, Big Breeze. And
that dude raw. I'm gonna get some beats from him.
Breeze is a monster.
Yeah,
he's a monster. So that project will be coming out soon. Griff is on there. We got We got actually we got a verse from Fef on there. Like I say, rest in peace to Fef, August McCoy. You know, Ren if you don't know this about Ren, man, Ren is so big on legacy. Yeah. So if you give Ren something, he's never, ever, ever gonna let it go. He's gonna hold on to it forever. So he had a verse from Fef. Yeah, he had a verse from Fef that's on there. You know, we got one of the artists from the Youngsters on the Street you was talking about earlier. His name is Stewie Bro. He worked with rocked with Baby Bash. He's on there. Red Cousin 808 is on there. My homeboy Spade from Washington is on there. We got a lot of different artists on there. We got Chili Powder on there. So you know, like I say, it's gonna be a real strong project. Ren is a musical genius. Breeze is a musical genius. And the thing is the connection. You know, I have been making music and stuff by myself after Society's creation, but it's something about that brotherhood. You know, even with us being separate, you know, with them being in the Bay and me being here, it has a fuel to it. It's a friendly competition. You know, you gotta come dope. I can't let them beat me. You know,
cannot. Not a choice.
Yeah. So you know, it's in it. So like I say, the thing is too, man, Griff, man, and Ray too, man, music. Man, we gotta do music, man. Music is the soundtrack. If we the ones, I'm not trying to knock no younger people that's on here listening to this, but we come from the real music. You know what I'm saying? The real instrumentation and stuff like that. Dre used to be up in there really banging out the keys. You know what I'm saying? And the real guitar, the bass, and the drums, all that stuff need to come back because that's part of who we are as people. You know, the computer music is cool and everything, but that's something that they've taken again, just like the spirituality and religion. They've taken
it so simple that anybody could do it.
Yeah.
Right. That's what we got to do. We got to bring the wordplay back. They can't do it on the level we do. But if you one time, two times, like, come on, cuz that ain't.
Man,
but it's all good. That music has a place. I just don't know the place for it. I agree with you.
It's because it's a generation gap, right? Like I also coach youth basketball because I hoop when I was at El Cerrito. So I got a AAU basketball out here, the Georgia Fire, and I've been doing it probably since like 2011, 2012. So one of my players that's an adult now, he because I used to play my music for him, you know, let him listen to it, and they be like, coach, man, you don't know nothing about no music, this, that, and the other. But he sent me a track the other day, right? And he say, I'm listening to it, and I'm not a negative person, so I'm never going to put nobody down. And I look at things from different perspectives. So when he sent it to me, it sounded like the music right now. So I say, boy, you're going to be a star. Because that's all it takes to be a star right now is what he was giving me, right? So he sent me another message. He was like, man, coach, I didn't write it. So I thought he meant somebody else wrote it for him, right? And I was like, well, who wrote it? He said, nah, coach. I didn't write it down. I was freestyling. And I was sitting there like, man, that ain't a good thing. Like, in that sense, but I've seen a lot of them do it. They just go up in there and
get what they do.
Yeah, they get the blowing.
Say, it only took me like 3 minutes. I'm like, I can tell.
Yeah.
It took me like one blunt.
But you know you can't be negative, but goddamn, I can tell.
Yeah, that's what it is. I don't write. I can lock all my raps in Society's creation are locked in my mind. I don't ever have no paper when I go in the booth. But the thing is I don't freestyle. I want everybody to mean something, so I don't go up in there like that. But you know, like I say, they think that that's dope. But it's really important that we go back and set the standard. It don't make no difference who buy it, if you sell 1 million. If the radio play it, none of that shit don't make no difference. Just go for producers too. don't let the industry crush your spirit, because it was never about the industry. It was always about our artistry and our creativity. So we got to get back to the artistry and the creativity of it. Don't let these companies and corporations and stuff like crush us, because that's a battle that we're in full circle all the way around. The corporations trying to crush the people, but the people have to get back to being people. So keep making the music, keep putting out, what you're putting out, man. It's very important because people need it.
Yep.
Artistry.
Appreciate it.
Industry last to where you don't even need it. Artistry.
Exactly.
Artistry, not industry.
Yeah, exactly.
With that, because people like Renaissance, the stuff I learned from Renaissance and EJ, it's like when I was working with Edward Stevens, he showed me one part, and we were sampling at first with the Gemini sampler and stuff like that, but
right.
We saw the Dangerous crew kind of start changing the game, and you Pee Wee out there doing this thing, and Banks out there with the mixing. It's like, okay, it's time for us to start switching it up. So when Renaissance was added kind of to my whole thing, it's like he had the Chord X3, like what in the computer. And a lot of us know, but what a lot of people don't know is Renaissance is like legally blind. You know what I'm saying? And so Renaissance, he had the ear, and the way his ear was for me, he changed it from that 1-2 note Dr. Dre thing to like melody. He kind of told me what melody was, and he was always with rhythm. He was always like he was a crest side. He liked crest side music when it comes to Mayo, the way they was doing their hooks, the way Kyle was adding melody to them beats. That's kind of what I got from Renaissance. And the first song I recorded with them, it was me, him, Mike, we called him Pre. Like the first song I did with them, it was called Talking to Myself. And he sung the hook. It was like 3-part melody and the hook. And I did the song, and it was like funky, but it was a Renaissance production. And that kind of told me, it kind of made me go to the 1980s music and learn melodies. And when I was sampling, it made me want to play everything and just wipe the sample out. And just that's what I got from Renaissance. So a lot of people don't know is, like I said, Renaissance is a very creative dude. He got songs, like his archive is crazy. He got the songs that we did 20-something years ago. He was the first person that showed me Mac Dre California Living music video. Like it was things that he had that nobody else had, and that's kind of what I want to
piggyback off of that real fast. Like you saying with Ren being legally blind. Like when me and Ren, we linked up, and when I was out here, Trav hooked us up because them Europeans and the Asians and stuff started really digging that time frame, that Bay music. So we started selling music overseas and stuff. And he introduced me to Ren. And the thing is, like, you got to think, I'm 3 hours ahead. Ren will be calling me at, like, I'm on my way to work. It's like 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. And he's calling me. And I'm like, God damn, like, he really is up and ready to go. Like, that boy got a work ethic like hell. Like, he's a genius, and he got a savage work ethic. So I would tell people all the time, it'd be cats out here talking about they can't do something, they can't do this, they can't do that. I'd be like, man, shit, my brother in California, he blind, and he do more by 10 o'clock than y'all niggas do all day.
All week.
So,
for real.
That's what it is, and that's real life. So what you're saying is true. Like, you legally blind, and he makes it happen in way bigger ways than most sighted people do. So that's real deal.
Right. So they probably gonna cut us off in a second. So we have to wrap it. So I want to thank you for giving us your time and letting us talk to you about everything that's going on right now, things from the past, and I want to check back in the future and do some update stuff. So
for sure, like I say, I appreciate y'all, man. Honor and respect y'all. Keep doing what y'all doing, and I hope that the dark 2020 vision is the biggest thing going for the next 50 years. You know what I'm saying? Legacy building. That's what it's all about.
And if you need us, let us know. Anything
for
you
sure,
want to do.
I appreciate that. And
you want to set up a show?
Ways.
Yeah. Just let us know. It's not an issue. We just need to know what you need, and we can make it happen.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
All right, so it's all good, man. We go holler in a minute, and
all right,
we go throw this up in a while, so you'll be able to check it out. You know, shit.
All good.
I'm gonna push it.
Somebody, truthfully, somebody need to set up where motherfuckers should actually have a meeting every week, every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Everybody, it's no reason not to Zoom and I just bought stock in Zoom, so everybody. Yeah.
Hey, you know what though?
Man,
you might want to flip it. You might want to flip it though, because Facebook. Then when they got their little thing, because I have my family, we have a family meeting, and we start pushing it to Facebook because it's just easier. You know, because some people are not really super literate with the computers and stuff, but Facebook is easy even for people that don't have, you know, the Facebook account. They still can go into the meeting. So I'm just looking at it like, you know, if you invested in their stock, you might want to go ahead and throw a little bit of that bread into Facebook, because I think it's gonna be kind of like a little battle going on between them, because Facebook when it jumped into that. But you're right.
People, yeah.
But nah, you're right. It's important also too is entrepreneurship, like an entrepreneurial thought process in building. You know, like I said earlier with the Richmond ties and everything. With our grandparents starting those churches and those businesses and all that kind of stuff, all the way up to, like, I pointed this out to somebody the other day, like all of the teams in Richmond Pony Baseball, they were sponsored by our businesses. You know what I'm saying? Cut and Shell, Eureka Seafood,
I remember Dunkley.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All of that was our businesses. They were sponsoring the baseball. You know what I'm saying? Part of the reason, I don't know because I'm not there, but I don't know if they still have Richmond Pony Baseball. But if they don't, the reason is because the businesses are gone.
All gone.
Yeah. So it's important that we go back and try to create businesses and tie them together, and then we start building units. How they do? All we got to do is study their business. They got a board of directors, and the board of directors ain't people that work for the company. You know, they got 10 companies, and every one of them 10 people is on the other 10 people board of directors.
Board of directors, yeah.
Yeah. We got to study their blueprints. They there for us. We just got to study them and have discipline. And like I say, get rid of the ego and understand what the goal is. The goal is 200 years from now. You know what I'm saying? Like, how are we going to create a legacy for the future? And that's what we got to concentrate on. So I agree with you. Like, yeah, we need to start doing it. Like I say, when we can work it out, we get some other people in here, and, put it together. I'm all for it. I'll do whatever I can to help, because it's really, really important, because the other side of it is we don't have no home base no more. You know what I'm saying? People used to have a home base. So really, this is home base. This is Richmond.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Damn. Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah. So like I say, just keep me up on it. I'm with it all the way. Whatever you want to do, music, video, Zoom meetings, I'm all in. I want to see us grow. You know, I want to see us at this stage of our lives, you know, in our middle ages, by the time we get 60, 70 years old, that we have created a foundation, you know, and we've educated the young people enough so that they can carry on what we started.
That'll be a hell of a feeling too. I know that.
In real life.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. All right.
All right, so we're going to tap back in soon. We signing out.
For sure.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate your time. For real.
I appreciate y'all. Have a good one, bro.
All right.
Yep.
5. Laney Eagles. Coach Beam. The best chance you. The first chance you. Laney built. Protect the nest. Last chance you. Let's go.
It's a full grind all the time, hotter than a rest them, best them, stay again, touches on them, come to the town, don't make a sound, we loud, and we shutting it down, who wants some of this now?
Don't even try to game me, man, I'm a baller, don't even try to change me, man, this is all God, and this is what he gave me, man, if I'd have thought it was them dudes, but it's Laney, man, hey, Coach B, do it for the team, here we go, when we get the green, nothing but a thing, do it for the dream, all day pay on a prayer and a wing.
Hard work, this my chance, show the coaches, show the fans. Yes, I can. Hey, last chance you. Hey, time to grind. Lights, camera, action, time to shine. I'ma get it if they on the line. I'm on to my next opponent won't survive. I've been on the rise and I'm on it now. See pressure coming, I'm rolling out.
Lenny Eagles, Lenny Eagles. Lenny Eagles, Lenny Eagles. Lenny Eagles, Lenny Eagles.
chance you.